watching comic books the last 20 years or something like that is it's more of a media circus now. Every movie out in the movie theaters deals with comic books. First it was Spider-Man and X-Men. Now it has everything from Green Lantern to Captain America to Thor to Transformers to G.I. Joe. This summer is going to be huge into the comic book genre of everything like that. So I think comic books has made a huge impact on just media.
There's a lot more people that are interested. Even people that I work with at my day job, they would ask about, for example, the new Superman story because it was something that they saw in the movies or things of that nature. And there's some big movies that are coming up that are lined up even for the summer. So a lot of people are looking forward to going to Comic-Con.
That's always been the lure of comic books, is that it's fantasy world. It's we all want to sort of escape reality and sort of think that we can fly or have superhuman strength or can shoot rays out of our eyes. And it started when we're children, and now even as we're grown adults, we see people coming in here still trying to sort of act out that fantasy and live in these worlds and read these great stories. And I feel like a lot of movies, television, products, etc., just really have a big impact and influence from the world of comic books.
I think story, good art, that's what kept the comic book going. And it's good because comic book is now a big deal and a big part of the entertainment industry. So I think all the big movies based on comic book characters are a big help to the comic book industry and the comic book world.
Comic books' success is obviously the collectability, but through the media, and I think it keeps going through, is through the media. I mean, through the movie Green Lantern with, in the past it was more of a cult, like, ooh, you collect comic books. Now, girls, women, families, children, all buy comic books. Everybody knows Green Lantern, Ryan Reynolds. Everybody knows Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. Everybody knows that, and it's just a household name. Comic books are not, just like, closet, geeky kids who read comic books. It's a household that everybody does it now.
Every week, every Wednesday, we get about 75 to 100 new titles to sell. So I feel like the fact that it's consistent. I think like the music industry, you don't always get a new album from your favorite band. Where comic books, you are always getting new product from your favorite writer, favorite artist, favorite publisher. You're always having something to read, something to see. There's motion comics now. There's huge television and feature films made of comic books. It's just, I think it's so prolific and so in your face right now that it's, it definitely keeps the machine moving.
I think one thing that I've noticed, a lot of the kids come with their parents, and their parents actually are the ones that collect. And so the kids actually are passed on that legacy, whether it's just the knowledge of the history of all the stories and all the artwork. And I think it's something that's just very enjoyable, and it's kind of a neat thing that families can actually enjoy together. We're noticing actually even some of the kids now are married and they have children, and that'll be actually the next ongoing generation for years to come.
That's a good question, because since you see the growth in the comic book world, and you see the growth also in the art side of comic book. Back in the day, you see how the coloring, all that kind of stuff, and then obviously you see the coloring job in today's comic book is it's done in computer. So I think the digital age in comic book is great because it makes things so much easier and it looks more appealing.
I don't think we've seen the real effect of digital comics yet, because comics are collectible in their nature. They're sought after. There's rare variants. There's a collectability to it, a value to comic books. There's something about holding comics in your hand and flipping the pages, putting them in a special bag and a board, and filing them in a box and keeping them in your house. And having the entire collection, which the digital age can't capture. And so I feel like the digital age is good for reading and keeping people sort of abreast of what's going on in comics, or maybe reading some of the old stuff, but it's never going to take over the brick and mortar stores like Golden Apple, because you can't collect a digital comic. You can't sell a digital comic for more than you paid for it, You can't, you know what I mean? Like, there are $1 million comics out there now, and there's never going to be a $1 million digital comic. So we have nothing to really fear from it, except that it could actually help us to maybe make a few extra bucks to people who just want to read the stories and not actually collect them. I would say Green Lantern is still huge, not only from just such a great storyline over the last couple of years by Jeff Johns, but fueled by this new movie coming up. There's a lot of anticipation with that. A couple of the big Batman series have sold really well, like Batman Incorporated, Batman Dark Knight Return, Batman and Robin, the Grant Morrison run. So I feel like there's some really good Batman, some really good Green Lantern, and then there's some big buzz in the X-Men world right now with this Age of X crossover. If you're just talking about current stuff.
To be honest with you, again, I'm a Batman guy, and the only comic book I read is pretty much Batman. So Batman's been going really good.
I think probably in today's market the most successful series is probably Spider-Man or X-Men or Batman. Icons that grandparents to parents to our generation to little kids already know. You go into Target or Old Navy or the Gap, and you see little kids already wearing a Batman shirt that does not even know how to say Batman. Those are icons that will never go away. So the Batman and the Wonder Womans and the Spider-Mans and the Wolverines, they'll never go away. So those are probably the most, well-recognized comics of all time.
Well, there's two types of comic books, effectively. There are the kind that you buy that you want to read and enjoy and loan to your friends and say, wow, you need to read this, this is an awesome story, the art's amazing, you need to read this. And then there are the comic books that you buy because they're worth a lot of money and they're going up in value all the time. And those tend to be the older comics from the 1970s and earlier, back when they were printing fewer copies. Obviously, the farther you go back, the older the comics are, the more they're worth. Those comics just go up and up in value all the time.
They've gone for over $1 million because there's only so many of them in the world. It's like 20 or 50 or 100 of any of these key books in good shape. There might have been 500 printed or 1,000 printed, but how many have surfaced? How many were thrown out by their mom? How many were burned? How many were lost or stolen or ruined? So there's a finite amount of really amazing collectibles out there in the comic book world, and they'll never lose their value. They're only going to go up. 5 years ago, the most expensive comic might have been like $200,000. Now it's $1 million. In 10 years, it's going to be $10 million. 20 years, it's going to be $20 million. That's where we're headed. I would say the current comics are a good investment for the future. What I mean by future is like 25 to 50 years. But even then, they're printed, they're readily available. They're all going to be in better shape than they ever were. They were printed on newsprint back in the day. Now they're in these beautiful printings and paper, and they're never going to be as worth as much as the originals were. And the originals are a great, solid investment for anyone looking to get into comics right now.
Nope. Comic books will never die. As long as the character's there, as long as Batman's there, as long as Superman's there, as long as all these great characters there, I don't think comic book will ever die. Comic books is a big part of the human culture. You know what I mean? So I don't think it will ever die.
With the presence of the digital age, where we're presently at and where it's going to go, I was a little skeptical, a little worried, but I think by and large that people will still always want to collect movies.
The printed comic might have a shelf life. Maybe 50 years from now, 100 years from now, we may or may not still see printed comics, which would be a shame. But I feel like whether they're digital or motion or printed, you're still going to see comic books for hundreds of years to come, not thousands.
San Diego Comic-Con 10 years ago, it was just pure guys. It was guys buying their books. Now you walk around, and it is families. And I'll talk to people that come out of the country, come out of the state, come out of the things, just to walk around comic books because they enjoy it so much. So I don't think comics will ever die because it's hitting more groups of people than it ever did. From kids to women to girls to high school girls to everything like that. So I think comics are staying around. I mean, the media is pushing for it. Digital, like you said, is pushing through it. The actual collectability is pushing through it, and conventions are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So.
At the times when you feel like crap, you can still stand up. You know what I mean? When you fall, you get back up and just keep the good fight.
Stop by. My name's Jeff. I'm at the 6.5, and I would just be curious if you could tell me that there isn't one thing that is from your childhood or just something you really thought was really cool or really new. It's a fantastic place.
Come buy your books at J Company Comics, and that's it.
Okay, thanks.
Work hard, be creative, don't be afraid to take risks, and do something. Like, don't just say you're going to do it, but actually put out a comic book, put out a movie, put out a TV show, do a trailer, do a painting, just do something creative so that our industries can stay alive and entertain future generations.
Yeah, go check out my website right here, thebatcomesoutTonight.com. It's what I'm all about. It's what I do for a living. I'm right here with Sean Davis.
Yeah, how you doing? How you guys doing out here? Yeah, we came out with we created enough things, man. Check it out. What was the last one we did, Jet? The Iron Angel. Yeah, right here. We did the Iron Angel. Check that out. That is called the Iron Angel. Me and Jet came up with a little concept, thought process. He came with the beautiful artwork, you know what I mean? And now we're just trying to do a little something different, so Rescue, I feel like Rescue should have been Iron Angel. I don't know why, but that's how I feel. But that's it, check it out, Marvel Holland.